Hello, fellow Voyagers. Jess here with Odyssey Human, here today to talk about tell stories about yourself that make you come alive. Welcome to the channel. This is a place where we help you hack through the jungles of consciousness so that you can discover the hidden treasures inside of you. My friends, it's all there, ready and waiting to be activated by you for you. So if that sounds good, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join us on the channel. And today's conversation is about telling stories that make you come alive. So many of us have habituated stories about ourselves, concepts about ourselves that are sad and small and unworthy and false, frankly. They're false because we are all imagination expressed. We are literally imagining our entire existence. Like, we never stop imagining. When we are in the middle of our day, we're simulating and thinking and imagining. That's all imaginative activity. When we're sleeping at night, we're dreaming, we're imagining. We're literally imagining our dreams and going on adventures and experiencing all this interesting stuff. When we're lost in a daydream, we're imagining, like we're constantly imagining. We imagine as much as we breathe. Like, and think about how important air is, but we're imagining just as much as we breathe. Like, it's that important. And you know how long we can live without air. Imagining is the essence of who we are. That is what we do. We are imagination machines. And that's how we claim our godliness. Like when someone tells you in the reality creation circles, you are God or you are creator, that's literally because you are the imaginer. You are the imaginer. And I want to point out and make us self-aware today of some of the stories that we tell that are small. If we are imaginers and we have the entire gamut of our imagination to play with, to have fun with, to latch onto and make reality, because that's what we do. When we think that we're living life, we're actually conjuring things in our imagination, making them reality, making them true with our belief in it, and then living our lives out as if through that imaginative concept. That's all we are doing here. That's all we're doing here. This is our existence. And so it's funny and strange and not worth it when we tell really small tales about ourselves. When we could describe ourselves in the breadth of imagination, when we could, say, I am a queen, I live in a castle, my life is incredible, money falls out of the sky for me. Instead, most people, what do they say? I'm fat, my blah, 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 this is broken, this is horrible, I don't like how this is, nothing works out for me. We tell stories in a very small, sad neighborhood of imagination. And we do it so often, and many of us have been doing it since childhood, that we don't even realize we do it anymore, which is the crazy part. So let's bring some awareness to it today so that we can shift it and stop those habits. All we got to do is drop them. Just drop it. When you catch yourself in that story, just stop. For example, I used to be one of those people when I was younger who would constantly apologize. I would constantly say, I'm sorry in my language. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I honestly didn't even know I was doing it. It just slipped out of my mouth. And because of that, I had associated emotions of guilt, shame, feeling like it was always my fault, like I was responsible, like I had to make everything perfect, like that. You can see how they fit together, right? If we're imagining and we're using language of I'm constantly sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, our body and our mind is listening to us and is listening to this habit of using those words as part of our everyday language, that no wonder we then feel associated emotions with that habit. It just makes sense. Another example, I have a person in my reality, in my environment right now, who constantly describes herself as, well, I'm slow, there's something wrong with me. Like, there's constantly the story of there's something wrong. I'm not like normal people. I'm different. I can't do it. And that today we had a conversation about. I actually kind of brought it to her awareness, and I was like, this is something you do, and I don't believe it. I don't believe in that version of you. I don't believe it. And I could see in her eyes this kind of light bulb coming on of like, oh my gosh, I have a choice in this moment to continue doing this. Now that this thing is in my awareness, this pattern, this habit is in my awareness, I can now choose to keep being that person or to choose differently and drop that story. To drop that story. And many of us do this, right? I'm sure we've all met someone who had the I'm fat story. I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. They're always worried about their appearance, when yet from your perspective, this person looks normal sized or even is on the thin side, right? This kind of dysmorphia about who we are, our self-concept, essentially. So what I want to encourage you today to do is, what are the stories? Where are the places that you are choosing stories that make you small, that make you less than, that make you contract and become less, when you could be expanding and becoming bigger and becoming more? And it doesn't matter if that story is outrageous. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it makes you feel good, that is the whole point. If it makes you feel hopeful, optimistic, excited for the future, excited to be here in this experience of life where we are imagination expressed, then you're hitting the mark. You're hitting the mark. If you are not, if when you talk about yourself, when you describe yourself, if you use words that are demeaning or make you less than or put you at a disadvantage, even people who are like, oh, I've never done that before, I'd probably not be very good at it. How do you know? Beginner's luck. Beginner's luck. I have a story. I'm like, I'm good at everything, no matter what it is I do. And then that's the reality that I manifest, that I create. I am good at everything. And it's that easy. It is that easy. Why would you ever, when you have the full power of your entire imagination, of any reality, of any outcome, of any story, why would you pick the crappy ones? Like, why? I just don't understand. I don't get it. Why would you do that? Because you die a little bit inside. Like, you die a little bit inside when you do that to yourself. It is soul sucking. It is life force removing. It wrings your soul out like a wet rag. And so I invite you to be aware, to listen to yourself speak about yourself to others, and catch yourself in stories that make you smaller. Become bigger, become more alive, become more vibrant. Talk about your dreams, talk about your visions, talk about your goals, talk them into reality. Your imagination expressed. Your imagination expressed. And one of the interesting ways to do this, if you are kind of lost right now and you're thinking, Jess, I don't know where to find, I'm not really aware of any stories that I have of myself. I have a busy life, yada, yada, yada. Whatever you're thinking right now, I invite you to go find 3 to 4 people you are close to or have been close to. Maybe coworkers, maybe family, doesn't matter who, just someone who knows you well enough. And ask those people what your strengths and weaknesses are. It's a very vulnerable exercise. I have done this. I have done it a couple of times in my life, and it was very revealing go ask them. Send them an email. That's the best way. Send them an email or a text. Ask them, what are my strengths and weaknesses? And often you will get back to you mirrored some of the things that you parrot about yourself. They're going to tell you, like, you don't really believe in yourself, or you, whatever, you're so sensitive. A lot of what I did this exercise a few years ago for my business, what I got was, you're very sensitive. You're very sensitive. You're such a sensitive person, as both a pro and a con, which was interesting, depending on who you asked. And you know what I did with that information? I stopped being highly sensitive. I asked myself these same questions. I was like, does this story, does this identity make me feel good or bad? And it made me feel like crap most of the time. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to choose the story that when you tell it, when you speak the spell into the universe, you magically become smaller and hurt or injured or at a disadvantage or less than? Are you going to speak a spell like that, or are you going to speak a spell that makes you a giant, a legend, a myth? Which one are you going to choose? You literally have any story at your disposal. You are imagination expressed. So, my friend, what are you going to pick? I hope this was helpful to you. Drop a comment below if you'd like to engage with me. I'm happy to engage with you. Also, if you need a tool, in the description box, there is a free tool that I give to everyone that helps you recondition your mental space. It's a simple tool you use every time you have a negative emotion. You recondition yourself and you make your mind a more peaceful, serene, calm place where you actually want to be, instead of a hellhole where you're constantly criticizing yourself, being mean to yourself, abandoning yourself when you feel negative emotions. So grab that below if that's something you need. It is exactly what I used to transform who I am, what I am, how I behave, how I feel. So grab that below, and thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.